Hey, I'm Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you in this video the problem with Instagram fitness advice and basically how most of fitness advice is wrong, okay? And I know it seems hypocritical because like, oh yeah, just get your advice from YouTube, right? Whatever I say in this video, I want you to vet it and critique it and see if it holds up to reason and your own research. You have to be open-minded and always open to the possibility that I'm wrong or the possibility that you're wrong, right? That's how you learn things and get to truth, and most of the advice on Instagram is highly dumbed down to make it less sophisticated so that more people can understand it. And a lot of times that leads people astray, and I'm going to basically vet a couple posts that I've seen on Instagram about muscle building, fat loss, overall health and nutrition, and I'm going to break those posts down and explain to you what the problems are so you can learn more immediately from this video about fitness and the truth behind what actually makes somebody fit and healthy. So, granted, like I said, critique everything that I say in this video, look into your own research, of course, and leave me some comments, and I'd be happy to discuss things with you. But again, keep in mind, a lot of my body of experience is based off of stuff that I have worked with people to fix. I have, of course, helped people get shredded with my coaching, but I have fixed people's brain injuries with my techniques. I have gotten to enough point of research that I've turned around more diabetics than the average doctor has, okay? This is all stuff that I've applied, and I know that it works from what I've seen, but again, I'm always open to trying to learn and build on my knowledge base, and you should too. So, I'm going to break down these posts, and this is going to help you learn far more about the truth of fitness and actual health. Okay, so before I get into this video, if you could like it, that will make YouTube show my content to more people, and that's all you have to do to help me grow my page. Also, subscribe to me if you've seen my other videos and you like them, and follow me on Instagram as well. So, I'm going to break down a couple posts from this one dude that I keep seeing on Instagram. Like, I can't open any electronic advice without seeing this guy's face pop up, but because I'm not just trying to shit all over this dude, and you know, it's nothing personal, I'm going to blur out his face and his account name because I'm sure you've seen a billion posts like his anyways, and it's nothing personal. I'm just trying to help people get better, more sophisticated fitness advice. Okay, so for starters, I'm going to show up this post, and it's going to teach you more about nutrition and the problems with the food supply. So, example, this dude's holding up a picture of a banana and broccoli, and then he's holding up a jug of fruit juice, V8, and he's saying, eat this because it's real fruit and veggies, and don't drink this V8 because it's a lot of liquid calories, and you can just eat your calories instead. That is not actually the problem with the differences between those foods, okay? The problem with a thing like a V8 fruit juice is that a lot of times, not only is it combining lower bioavailable forms of the nutrients that would be in foods, but they're chalking it full of sugar and ingredients that would actually make it more addictive and basically cause a more excitatory brain response. So the most common culprit here is high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is basically fructose, which is sugar from fruit, which has an already high dopamine reward response, and then they turn it into a syrup, and basically this makes it drastically more glycemic and higher in sugar density than any other food that we would naturally obtain. So it's not just that this is liquid calories, it's just that this is a drink that is designed to be tasty, so people keep buying it. So the way they make it tastier is by pumping it full of high fructose corn syrup and artificial flavors, okay? The problem with a lot of foods, processed foods out there, is not actually the fact that they're processed. It's the things that are put in there to make it more addictive, like MSG, aspartame, the artificial ingredients and artificial sweeteners that cause problems. So that's the summary of the first one. Now, the second one here, this one just is, again, so unsophisticated. Okay, here's the picture. We got the dude holding a bucket of strawberries and the same guy holding a couple bananas. He says, eat this if you're cutting, eat this if you're bulking. There's no rhyme or reason behind this, okay? The only rhyme or reason that a lot of these accounts use is the theory of caloric expenditure. That's it, right? Which is true. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's only one side of the coin. It only focuses on things in a quantitative manner. It only focuses on things, and its only delineation between foods is based on how calorically dense they are. That's it, okay? So the reason why this dude is explaining to eat strawberries over bananas is because strawberries are lower calories than bananas. That's it. And essentially, yeah, you could just use that argument for anything. It doesn't matter. There's no point in making content on this if the only thing that matters is calories. Your body does not treat every calorie the same. It doesn't account for the differences in how your body uses certain macros. So the question is total amount of calories the most sophisticated we can get with advice? It's absolutely not. In fact, it's the least sophisticated you can get with health advice. Literally saying, oh yeah, these bananas are higher in calories than strawberries, so eat the strawberries. There's no extra nuance to that. Here's the nuance to it. I'll give it to you right now. The nuance is both of these foods contain fructose, which is a type of sugar from fruit, and it goes to your liver. Your body is much more likely to burn up fat when your liver is not chocked full of sugar, because your liver is almost like your backup team. It's putting sugar into the bloodstream occasionally as needed. And it's going to spike your insulin, which will make you hungrier later in the day, and perhaps increase de novo lipogenesis, which is the storage of new fat. That's literally what it means in Latin. And because fructose can upregulate enzymes associated with that, when you have large insulin spikes, that is going to dampen fat burning. Okay, granted, your total daily amount of calories is the, limiting factor here. And fructose is not a problem in the context of a calorie-controlled diet. However, spiking insulin constantly is going to make you hungrier. Putting a bunch of high reward response fructose to your liver is going to make you basically crave more foods that give an equal reward response. So, of course, you can eat these foods on a cut, but there's really no difference between the two of them as far as a cut goes. You're still going to be getting fructose, and besides that, the fructose content of bananas and the carb content of bananas varies based on their ripeness. So, additionally, it doesn't take into account the nature of how these foods were grown and the other pesticides that may have been used or things of that nature. At the end of the day, it's simply, again, only using quantity as the measuring stick of what makes a food better for certain scenarios. It's only looking at the quantity of calories and total energy. But like I said, you can't have one side of a coin. You have quantity and you have quality. And a lot of these pages ignore the individual effects of foods on hormones, the individual effects of nutrients on other functions in the body. So now we're getting over to this sort of eat this if you're cutting, eat this if you're bulking, right? Again, another calorically aimed post that only looks at the total energy amount. It's not looking at the satiety factors of each food. And when we're looking at, zucchini noodles, I'm telling you right now, if you eat zucchini noodles all day long, you're going to end up with 100 calories, okay? Your body will then metabolically overreact to not enough calories. So when you're cutting very low in calories, we basically break the quantitative measuring stick. Because if you go too low in calories, your body's going to think, you're basically communicating to your body, holy shit, we have such little food around here that we should try to hang on to more body fat, okay? And your body, if you're dieting very low calories, is going to backfire against you. So again, if you push the quantitative stick to the end of its path, you will get a qualitative result. If you drop the calories too low, you're going to get a hormonal response. And it goes the same way with the hormonal response. If you drop your insulin, if you cut out insulinogenic foods all the way, yet you still eat a shitload of calories, you're not going to lose any body fat. So you can break both approach by pushing it to the end of the spectrum. So you need a balance of both. You need the qualitative side and the quantitative side. And it's not only quantity. Right, so another post from this dude is this one about carbs and fats. So one problem with the quantitative approach to fitness, which is the one that most people take because it's easier, right? It's more easy to understand, less sophisticated, is they treat macros, the individual components, as if they're all the same and just limited by the quantity, calories. Carbs and fats are not the same. If they serve the same purpose and same function of the body, we wouldn't have a delineation between the two of them. Carbs are like the nitro fuel that is available scarcely in nature. They're a luxury, and they're like the nitrous oxide on a car that basically you pulse a little bit for an extra boost. And fat is like the default fuel that our body uses for hormonal function and also to basically get you 90% of your activities covered. Carbs are meant to be the quick burst emergency fuel that we have access to. And if you've seen my ketogenic diet videos, it's no secret that I'm a big keto guy. However, all I claim is that you will benefit by cutting out sugar for parts of the year. That's all I say. Keto does not mean dump lard on everything, okay? And when you look at the stuff from this guy, again, people have this approach of quantity only. Look at the fat and carbs. Oh, fat is 9 calories a gram, therefore you should cut it out because it's more calorically dense. And carbs are only 4 calories. You've literally just proven that fat is a better fuel. It is literally more than double of the energy per gram, and you can eat less food and get more energy. And at the same time, carbohydrates will spike insulin, which is the primary fat storage hormone. So granted, as long as your calories are controlled, this hormonal effect will not cause any fat gain. However, for a lot of people, if they're already eating a lot of food, you can lose body fat by simply cutting out the carbs and dropping your insulin a lot. So you're getting a qualitative hormonal approach to fat loss. Again, eventually that will run out and your body will reach homeostasis and you'll plateau and you have to lower your calories a bit. But the point is, These things are not the same. To treat carbs and fat as if they are the same and serve the same purposes is very unsophisticated. Why do you think our body stores fat? We only store 2,000 calories worth of carb, and your body stores nearly endless amounts of fat because it is the preferred fuel that your body wants to use for 90% of activities. It wants to use carbs as a boost, and the reason why we have such a high reward response to carbs is because they are an emergency fuel, and every time you get them, your body's like, great, we have more fuel coming in that we can put aside for danger. And also, because when you have multiple macros coming in, carbs and fat together, your body's more likely to store body fat because you're giving your body multiple sources of fuel. And it basically thinks, oh, great, we have so many different kinds of, double kinds of fuel coming in, might as well put one away, which is why the sort of cardinal rule of fitness is don't combine large amount of fat and sugar. And again, calories are the sort of threshold for this, but this doesn't take into account the individual effects. If somebody is eating a high carb diet, they will absolutely be hungrier if it's super high carb, because those constant insulin spikes are making you hungry later, because they go up and then they crash and go down. And once they are at their trough is when you are the hungriest, you are the most hangry, you are the most fatigued, and you need to eat again. If you are not eating a high sugar diet, you will become less dependent on sugar. And if you're not eating enough fat, you will not have hormonal function. So there's no amount that you can just treat these macros as if they're the same. They're completely different things and serve completely different functions. And just basically don't treat it as if it's only quantity. It's about quality. Now, the next one here is about cardio. So this is a very interesting post here that's going to teach you more about the qualitative hormonal effects of training, because it doesn't just apply only to calories. Okay, so example, calories burned for 1 hour of cardio. Walking, 300 calories. Running, 1,000 calories. Rowing, 800 calories. And cycling, jump roping, and swimming for 700, okay? Here's the thing. Again, this is treating these exercise types as if the only defining factor is quantity. Do all of these exercise types affect your body the same way? Think about that. Do they? No. If we were to burn 600 calories worth of energy from weightlifting, that's going to be breaking down muscle tissue and then further upregulating anabolic hormones. It's going to be upregulating your insulin sensitivity, which is your body's ability to shuttle carbs and amino acids, so proteins, into your muscles. So the thing is, if you were to walk for 300 calories, you're telling your body that there's no extra demand to build muscles. In fact, those muscles get in the way. Because what your body is doing, your body is a survival machine. It only cares about surviving and keeping you alive, and it will respond to the stress you put on it. And when we look at things only through this quantitative lens, you're treating everything as if it's the same. You're not looking at the individual parts, you're looking at the sum of the parts, but they're not all the same, they're not all equal. 300 calories worth of walking is not the same as 300 calorie worth burn of weightlifting. So again, we recognize that there is no separation from the hormonal methods of fitness. There's no separation from the qualitative approaches. And again, we have this other example just to further, make some other points here. Eat this if you're cutting, eat this if you're bulking. 2 different types of bread. It's at a point where it becomes so tedious that it's just mind-boggling, because the differences between those breads is maybe like 70 calories. And again, even if you are only looking at calories, it's a very negligible difference, besides the fact that there are other strategies to get more satiating carbohydrates, ones that are not going to jack up the blood sugar. And when these are both 100% whole wheat breads, they're basically going to provide the same glucose response, same carbohydrate distribution, just a matter of 20 calories less or something like that. So it's tedious. Now, again, this other post, carbs are your friend, or carbs are your enemy. Of course, I'm a keto guy, okay? And I don't think that carbs are your enemy, which is what a lot of people think, keto people think. But what I'm saying is carbs do not grow in the winter. Your body is meant to have a seasonal metabolism, because it is impossible to avoid a ketogenic diet in the winter. However, even if you don't want to do one, that's fine. Just understand how carbs affect you. Carbs will affect you in a certain way, and you can't ignore that. Spiking your insulin and blood sugar all the time will make you hungrier. It will make you more dependent on food to focus. And overall, you can't treat carbs the same way you treat fat. They have to be 2 separate entities, and that is why they are 2 separate entities and perform completely different functions in the body. Fat also stores nutrients, such as the fat-soluble vitamins A, E, D, and K. So there's a lot more, and I'm going to end off with this last post, which is, again, just comparing basically 2 supplements, basically a pre-workout and then like a Bang energy drink, okay? So it says, drink this for boosted performance, increase energy, reduce fatigue, and then it says drink this Bang Energy for some tasty caffeine juice. Now, here's the thing. The real concern here is the artificial sweeteners, the artificial colors and dyes that are in these products. Because guess what? The composition nutritionally of each of these products is going to be relatively the same. You got a bunch of B vitamins, caffeine, and electrolytes in the Bang Energy probably, and some of them even throw in like creatine and citrulline and other pump boosters that are found in pre-workouts. And I'm not familiar with this other pre-workout here, but basically what you got here is two products that are very similar, and the only delineation between them is this is just caffeine. When in reality, you have to look at the individual parts. Is this sweetened with ingredients that give cancer to rats? Is this sweetened with aspartame, which is basically going to trick your brain into having a stronger excitatory neurotransmitter response to a food and make it addictive? Okay, so the last one here is comparing plant protein to whey protein. And again, it's using this consequentialist, quantitative total viewpoint, this lens of looking through things. And you have to realize with whey, the whole purpose whey protein exists is not because of the quantity of protein in calories. The reason whey is effective is because of its insulinogenic properties. I was just talking about insulin as a fat storage hormone, but it also shuttles proteins into your muscles. And whey is probably the most insulinogenic food, but it doesn't contain sugar. So what whey does as a muscle building aid is provide an insulin surge that shoves the protein right into your muscles. It's not simply a substitute for 30 grams of protein. It is the type of the protein that matters here. It is the quality, the hormonal reaction that makes the difference. So it's not just a substitute for 30 grams of protein. It also is complete. It contains all the essential amino acids. Now with plant proteins, this doesn't simply mean that, they're all inferior. However, not all plant proteins are created equal either. You can't just shove them into a blanket statement, because the only one that actually is superior to the others is pea protein isolate. A lot of plant proteins themselves are an excuse to chalk together and churn up a bunch of plants that didn't sell well in grocery stores or other wholesalers and basically rebrand them as a high profit margin way to sell all the stuff that wasn't getting sold before. So that's where they combine 6 different types of plant proteins and they market it like it's a good thing. In reality, you'd be better off if you wanted a plant protein to get pea protein isolate, because that's the only one that will provide more of the essential amino acids with minimal downfall compared to the rest. However, you still have to be careful of the pesticides that might have been in these plants when they were being planted. You have to be careful that they're not from monocropped fields with just sprayed with pesticides all day long, and you have to be careful over the source, the other fillers in both protein products. But at the end of the day, they're not just a blanket statement. To do that would be to ignore the individual components and only focus on the quantity, when in reality, the details are what really matter here. The devil is in the details. So with the plant proteins, for example, realistically, a lot of them will not have comparable amino acids ratios to the whey protein. However, whey protein isn't simply being consumed for the calories. It's being consumed for its hormonal reaction. Plant protein in that case would be far better for looking at it as a substitute for daily protein intake. But again, these foods have different properties and you have to be careful over the sourcing and exact ingredient list. Okay, so hopefully this video was informative for you. I'm not trying to just, roast the shit out of this dude. Again, I tried to hide his face for, I'm not trying to slander anybody here. Just letting you know that fitness is a lot more sophisticated than Instagram makes it seem. And if you want to learn more sophisticated fitness techniques, watch my videos and subscribe here. Again, if you had a hard time accepting some of the things I said, I encourage you to try to disprove them, seriously, because that's how I tried to learn the things that I did. That's the only way we can learn anything. So, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like it, subscribe, and leave me some comments and questions down below. I'll do my best to get back to you, and we can all learn from each other that way. Anthony Romano, peace.